All right, let's look at the second half of what we have on the Chapter 2 test. There's going to be problems like this to say simplify. Now to simplify this, I'm simply looking at this. It's an n squared plus 7n plus 12, n squared plus 9n plus 20. If it's just this basic n squared plus so many n's plus a number, I'm just going to factor that into two binomials. Now you don't have to do any busting bee because there's a 1 here. So this isn't one of those. It's one of those basic algebra 1. You learned it back in 8th grade, 7th grade, whatever grade you took algebra in, 9th grade, maybe last year, I don't know. But here's what you do. You simply take this guy, and we have to think of the factors of 12. Factors of 12 are going to be 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. Which of these can combine to give me a 7n? 3 and the 4. So we know that the top here breaks down to an n plus 3 times an n plus 4. We should be able to do that. Notice you have 3n, 4n, that gives you 7n. N times n is n squared. 3 times 4, 12. So that's what's on top. Now on the bottom, we got to deal with the factors of 20. What multiplies together to give us 20? Well, there's 1 times 20. There's 2 times 10. 3 times nothing. 4 times 5, and we're done. Which of these can create the 9? The 4 and the 5. So this is going to be an n plus 4 in the bottom and an n plus 5. Now, it's going to be great if there's a number on top and a number on bottom that are the same. And in this case, notice they both have an n plus 4 and n plus 4. Those will cross out because they will be the same number. Maybe you and I plugged in 2, and this would have given us a 6 here and a 6 here. So those 6's would simplify. They'd cross out and become 1's. So this simplifies to an n plus 3 on top over an n plus 5. And there's our answer. The problem is this, though. This up here is exactly the same as this down here. The only difference is you and I cross this out. We've got to make note of what n can't be. Notice that n couldn't be negative 4 here because that would create a 0 in the denominator, and you can't have that. You can't put things in groups of 0, and 0 times whatever would be a 0 down here. So we notice that n can't be a negative 4, so we have to state that because it's not obvious. It's obvious n can't be a negative 5 because if we try to plug negative 5 in here, it's going to give us an error. But if we try to plug negative 4 in here, it's going to look like there's an answer. That's why you must state this. I will even tell you in the directions, state what n can't be. So follow the directions. Here's the answer to this problem. On every one of them, you're going to have to state what n can't be. Let's look at the next one. It's a division problem. Y'all sometimes struggle with this. Let's check her out. I have an x here and x squared here. That's all I'm going to concentrate on. I'm going to say, hey, x times what gave me that x squared? Well, that's basically an x, because x times x is x squared. Now I do x times this x, which gives me x squared. X times that 4 minus 4x. I'm now going to come here and I have to subtract. X squared minus x squared, gone. Now pay attention. 5x minus the negative 4x. That's going to change that to plus. So 5x minus a negative is 5x plus a 4x. That brings you to 9x down here. Because 5x minus a negative changes to plus 4x. 5x plus 4x, 9x. And now bring down my subtract 20. I don't try to do x into anything up here. It's now dealing with this down here. X goes into 9x how many times? Well, x times what will give you the 9x? That's going to be a 9. So I write plus 9. 9 times the x, 9x. 9 times that 4, minus 36. I now have to subtract. 9x minus 9x, gone. Negative 20 minus a negative. That minus a negative is going to change this to a plus here. Lose 20, gain 36. You've gained 16 more than you've lost. That's the remainder. The way we will write it, we'll say plus 16 on top, this outside bit down below. You got to put a plus there. Don't try to attach this to the 9. It's not. It's plus 16 over whatever x minus 4 is. That is the answer to this problem. Now let's look at another one we have here. Solve the following equations by factoring. Well, this is a basic x squared, a 1x squared, 14x, 24. So all I got to do is factor this. I have to think of the factors of 24. Okay? This is exactly like what we've been doing. Factors of 24, 1 and 24. 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 4 times 6, bim, that's it. Which of these are going to combine to give me 14? 2 and 12. That tells me that this factors down to a x plus 2, x plus 12. Now remember, this is set equal to 0 this time. It doesn't just say factor that. Shh. It says factor it and solve it now. You have this times this equals 0. So you have two things being multiplied to give you together to give you 0. That means one of these has to be a 0. So either the x plus 2 has to equal 0, or the x plus 12 has to give you a 0. Solving this now, subtract 2, x has to be a negative 2, subtract 12, or the other option is negative 12. This is an or. I'm not worried about it. I told you, just come up here, put negative 2, put negative 12, show me the two solutions of what would create, make this equation give you 0. If you plug negative 2 into this, it's going to equal 0. If you plug negative 12 into this equation, it's going to give you 0. There's the answer. Showed you it was problem 32. Bonus point for you there. Problem 32, there's your answer. Just, again, understand how to do it. Let's now flip to the final problem. Then I'm going to show you. And the final problem is this. Use a quadratic equation to solve for x. Show your work. If you just write the answer, I'm going to know you just memorized something or wrote it on the back of your hand like an old cheater. And we know how I feel about cheaters. So, I got to use a quadratic equation. I didn't give it to you. Remember, you're going to have to remember it. Just think of that old song. Opposite of b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Not going to sing it loud for you. Sorry about that. So there's a formula. Remember, a is right here, b's right here, c's right here. So we're going to have a is 5, b is 21, c is negative 2, and I go ahead and I list out the 4 times a times c. 4 times the a, 5 is 20, times that is going to be negative 40. So now let's just plug in here. As long as we plug in, we're going to get it. So x is equal to the opposite of b, which is the opposite of 21, plus or minus, don't be scared of big numbers, b squared. 21 times 21, 441. 441. Subtract negative 40. That'll be simply minus a negative 40. I should have written that, sorry. Minus negative 40. Because it's a minus here and it's minus that negative 40. This minus negative will change to a plus. All over 2 times 8. 2 times 5, 10. Let's clean this up. So x equals negative 21 plus or minus 441 plus 40 is 481. All divided by 10. Okay, so that's what we have right now. We need to now, since we've got a single number under here, we need to go ahead and break it down to plus and minus because there's two solutions here. So what we're going to do is we're going to break it into x equals negative 21 plus the square root of 481 divided by 10, or x is equal to negative 21 minus the square root of 481 over 10. Now this, once we take the square root of this number that's irrational, yes, their answer is going to be rounded. So we're going to grab our calculators. We're going to enter all this in. Now I did it, and I got on this one 0.093 for this little bit right here. For this guy over here, when I entered on the calculator, my answer came out to be approximately negative 4.293 and some stuff. So there are our answers to this problem. Again, you just have to plug it in. You have to be careful. No, there's your A, there's your B, there's your C. Follow the formula, but you gotta, again, I'm not gonna give it to you. You gotta know it, so you better start those singing, get those vocal cords rocking and rolling for this test on Monday. Good luck to you. If I can help, send me an email. I'll try to help you over the email this weekend if need be. Good luck.